Hi, everybody. My name is Trevor Steenholt. I'm one of the franchise development directors here with Right at Home. And today I have the privilege of interviewing Matt Field. So, Matt, why don't you introduce yourself and where you're located?
Happy to. Matt Field in Lincolnshire, Illinois, about halfway point between the border of Wisconsin and the city of Chicago.
Ah, there you go. There you go. And how many locations do you have, Matt, or how many territories?
We have one location, two territories.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we've been in business almost 10 years.
Awesome. And in a prior life, what were you doing prior to becoming a Right at Home franchisee?
In a prior life, I had a very different life previous to that. Previous to this, I used to be, well, I still technically am, but I used to work as a rabbi. I had a congregation in upstate New York.
Okay.
Life gave me a fork in the road, and I turned right. So here I am.
Gotcha. And when you get free time, what do you do? What do you do when you're not being a Right at Home franchisee?
When I'm not being a Right at Home franchisee, I exercise a lot. I'm a little bit of a endurance junkie.
Okay.
Running, cycling, triathlons, that sort of thing. More recently play pickleball, spend time with my family. Yeah, that's kind of it. Travel when I can. A little bit harder during the pandemic, but we've started again.
So triathlons. So you're saying you can have a life outside of your business? Because that obviously takes some time to train for those things.
It does, yes. I did, let's see, about 10 years ago, I did an Ironman, and that I was training about 16 hours a week. I did most of the training, honestly, before I started Right at Home. But yes, I definitely have time for the things I like to do. I have time for my family. I've got one daughter who is in several high school sports, and I've been able to make plenty of time to go and watch her and cheer her on. The other one who's a competitive dancer, and I've been able to go to her performances and competitions, and it hasn't been a problem. Set my own schedule. Obviously, I work and I work hard, but I'm certainly able to balance that pretty well.
Which Ironman did you complete?
I did Madison, so just over the border from us, which is a very, very hilly race, especially the biking part.
Yeah, my sisters and dad ran the Madison Marathon, so I've been there too. And that's what everybody says is there's the hills that make it for one of the more challenging ones out there.
Yeah, well, it was challenging. I can't compare it to any others because I've never done another. And I think at this point in my life, I probably won't. But yes, it definitely was challenging, but still standing. So all good.
So when you were hitting your fork in the road, then I'm sure you were entertaining some other businesses out there, kind of looking around. So how did you arrive at Right at Home?
I wanted to do something on my own. Having been in a very different world professionally, having been a rabbi at a congregation, certainly takes a certain kind of skill and knowledge. But generally, in the normal job market, businesses tend not to necessarily be looking specifically for rabbis. So I felt like I wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to do something that I still felt good about the work, that I was touching lives in a positive way. I got connected with a business broker who presented a variety of different opportunities to me. Right at Home was one of those, as well as another one or two home care companies that I looked at. I liked the home care model. It was something that I felt good about. It was something that I felt like it was work that would set a good positive example for my children. And as I walked down that path, the discovery path with Right at Home, I felt connected to the business model. I felt connected to their track record of success, and probably most importantly, I felt really good about the people. I felt like the people who were involved in Right at Home were in the business for the right reasons. They were committed not only to growing businesses, not only growing the franchise of Right at Home, but really to furthering the mission of Right at Home. And I found that to be the case for the last 10 years. And whether it be corporate folks or neighboring franchisees or franchisee across the country, it's a really good group of people who are always ready to pick up the phone and have a conversation and offer support, offer advice. At this point, 10 years in, I'm often on the other end of that phone call. And there are always calls that I'm happy to take. So yeah, it's been great. I mean, like anything else, it's got its days that are more difficult than other days, and it's got its stressors. But I wouldn't give it up for anything.
Well, let's talk about, you said the people, the culture, everything like that. Home improvement is next week. So for those that are listening to this, could you maybe just kind of outline home improvement and what you like about it as a franchisee? Obviously, you've got a great record of attendance there. So could you paint a picture? Could you channel your inner Bob Ross and help our folks out here and give them the scoop on home improvement?
I'm a little offended that you're asking me to channel my inner Bob Ross on my hairline, but I can try. So yes, I mean, I've gone to most of the home improvements that I've been able to. I am really looking forward to returning to home improvement in person with all that's happened with COVID in the last 2 years. And there's a few things that I like about home improvement. There are, some of the sessions that are inspiring and motivating and send me home with pages full of notes of things that I want to implement in my business, even if it's just ideas to create, to build upon our culture, and to create new paths for our future. The more practical sessions that are available, that I attend are, be it, relevant today, things on recruitment, that sort of thing, or sales and marketing. I've found great value in those and taking those back to our business and implementing things. And also a big part of it is connecting with my fellow franchisees, as well as the corporate folks who are in attendance. It's a really good atmosphere. Everybody is everybody's really kind to each other. It feels like a big family. It really does. I was part of another franchise for a small period of time, and the culture just wasn't the same feel. It never felt like, and this is going to sound hokey, never felt like home. And with Right at Home, really, it's great to connect and share ideas, to commiserate over things that, that we all experience, to grab an evening drink, and just to be together. It's really a nice atmosphere and a nice experience, good escape, while also building us up and recharging us to head back home to our home offices and take on the year and continue to grow our businesses.
Sure. So what does, when you're back in your office, and what does a typical day look like for you? Is there such a thing as a typical day for you?
Yeah,
that would be a good question.
That's a good question. So at this point in our evolution, I am not all that involved in the details and the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day. As they say, I'm working more on the business than in the business.
Okay.
Which is something I really like. Our day usually starts with a morning huddle, where we're setting priorities. And, I'm always part of that when I'm around, if I'm not, coming from a meeting or something. I focus a lot personally at this point on strategy, on the numbers. I deal with the accounting aspects of the business, with vendor procurement, things like that, and with really helping to establish, along with my wife Rachel, the tone, the direction, and the culture. And so a lot of time is spent, depending on the day, meeting with our office employees, helping them to problem solve and manage their responsibilities, communicating with clients as needed, and really thinking about how we can take our business to the next step. So a lot of my time is really not spent thinking about the day-to-day schedules and the caregivers' comings and goings, but really the bigger picture. And there isn't an aspect in this business, 10 years in, there isn't an aspect in this business that I have not touched, that I have not been involved with. Fortunately, we've been able to successfully grow our business and hire a really strong team of office employees who can handle the nitty-gritty day-to-day stuff with really with finesse. For me, it's about learning from our mistakes, learning from our successes and building upon those. And so, yeah, I mean, my day to day is, a lot of it's dealing with the numbers pieces, and giving direction to our employees, and then thinking through what tomorrow is going to look like and how to get us there.
So you said, you're more working on the business instead of in the business. So how long, obviously, for people that are watching this, they're thinking about starting from scratch like you did, right? How long did it take you to get to that point where you're working on the business instead of working in the business for you personally? Was it 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? I mean, what did that look like for you?
That's a good question. I would say probably took me longer than it needed to, but that's more of a personal problem than anything else because, being my own business, being my baby, so to speak, it took me some time to be able to let go of things.
Okay.
And once I was able to do that and put my faith in my employees and empower them, that gave me a lot of confidence to be able to step back. So I would say maybe about 5 or 6 years in is really when I started transitioning off of the day-to-day stuff, to more of the bigger picture stuff. And even before that, there was a slower transition because, as we would bring in new team members who were really good schedulers, I was able to stop worrying about that. As we were able to find, so I think we do a few things that are a little different than some of the other offices. We have a full-time dedicated on-call manager. That is all she does for us. So being able to hand off that piece of the business and get rid of that was really a game changer for us personally, as well as for our employees, honestly, as well, not having to worry about on-call regularly. And letting go of that actually was a big piece in allowing me to let go of some other pieces of the day-to-day, and really focus more on the direction and the growth and setting some high but achievable benchmarks and goals for us.
So what aspect of the business do you like the most, Matt?
What aspect of the business do I like the most? I like thinking out of the box. I like thinking of different ways to get to the places where we want to be. And for example, when the pandemic broke out, when the lockdowns started, typical sales and marketing processes obviously had to pivot significantly, because if we count on, say, assisted livings and nursing homes to refer us business, obviously we couldn't just stop by at a nursing home or an assisted living. They were on lockdown too. And so we were able to pivot in a pretty effective way. And we were able to really, our sales and marketing processes really picked up steam a few months into the pandemic. And a lot of it was virtual stuff. And the big piece of what we do with our marketing approach is we offer a lot of training to nursing homes, assisted livings, hospitals, and such that their employees need. And so in a way, they've come to need us. So continuing with that aspect, but pivoting to a remote model where nurses or social workers, their licenses were coming up to renewal time, and they needed a certain number of continuing education credits, but nobody was offering them anymore because there was lockdowns. We were able to find ways to do that and continue to be relevant and continue to be needed by our referral sources. And in I would say the first 2 months of the pandemic, of the lockdowns, our business suffered initially. But 2020 up until 2020, 2020 ended up being our best year to date. And I really credit our ability to kind of think outside the box, to pivot our approach to sales and marketing, and to be really present, visible, and relevant to the long-term care community out in our community.
Well, to give fair balance, and what's an aspect of the business that maybe you have a lesser amount of enjoyment in, something that maybe you don't like as much?
Well, definitely it was the on-call piece.
Okay.
I'm not sure that too many owners love that piece. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that there's not a thing in this business that I haven't done, with the exception of, some of the more skilled stuff. So we are also licensed to do specialty nursing services. So obviously that is not something I can do without being a licensed nurse. So other than that, there's not an aspect of this business that I have not been involved in. On-call for me was the least enjoyable, for obvious reasons. I mean, you get home at night and then the calls start happening. I think it's important, however, for all owners to be involved in all aspects of the business at some point in the evolution of their business, because it helps the owner better understand those parts of the business, the stresses, how best to guide their employees, and also to understand, to be, I guess, a little bit more sympathetic or empathetic to the stresses that our employees go through, and be it the scheduling piece or the marketing piece or the on-call piece, and to respond to that in a more human way, which has really helped us to create a lot of loyalty and longevity among our employees.
Maybe that's part of the answer to the next question, that the final one I'm going to ask you here. So what is one piece of advice you'd give to a prospective franchisee that's looking to join right at home?
One piece of advice,
Yeah.
I would say hire well. And I'm talking about internally. I'm not talking about caregivers. Obviously, hire good caregivers. Hire well, and empower your employees. Don't micromanage your employees. And that's a hard thing to do, especially as a new business owner, because, you own the business, it's your baby, you want it to run a certain way. But if you put that trust in your employees, it gets paid back to you in dividends. Having the true commitment and loyalty of employees is really, for me, it's a game changer. And it allows you to, say, go on vacation or go to home improvement and be 100% confident that the business is going to be well run. And if there are problems, they're going to be able to address them effectively. And you don't have to spend your days and hours when you're away from the office really worrying that that things are going to fall apart, because they got it. And we trust them to have it. And, yeah, sure, when we're out of town, they might seek our input on this or that. I have no problem with that. I mean, I still am the business owner, but generally speaking, it's really allowed our employees to do really well, to succeed, and for us to be able to have that confidence to take the next step as well. Because until an owner is able to let go of certain pieces of a business, it becomes difficult to scale that business to the next phase.
Matt, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy, and enjoy home improvement.
My pleasure. Good talking with you.